I used to believe many things, big things, beautiful things, things that sounded noble, even poetic. I believed in love that conquers all, in the idea that success fixes pain, in goodness being enough to shield me from hardship. I believed that age would bring ease, and that people change, just because you love them enough. Now, I'm 60, and I've let all 5 of those beliefs go. Not because I'm bitter, but because life has a way of revealing the truth not in thunderclaps, but in long silences, in rooms you sit in alone, in dreams that never quite came true, no matter how hard you worked. And letting go of those beliefs, it was the beginning of peace. So if you're a man still carrying those same ideals, not because they're working for you, but because you're afraid of what happens if you release them, stay with me, because what follows isn't regret, it's release. 1. I no longer believe that love always wins. When I was younger, I thought love could fix anything, that if 2 people cared, showed up, really tried, they could survive anything life threw at them. I believed love was the glue, the answer, the unbreakable thread that held everything together. So I stayed. I stayed in relationships that chipped away at me. I held on to women who had emotionally left months, sometimes years before they actually walked out the door. I poured my time, my energy, my hope into fixing what was already falling apart, because I believed love, in the end, would win. But here's what I know now. With the quiet certainty only age can bring, love doesn't always win. Sometimes, love walks into your life holding flowers, and walks out without explanation. Sometimes, love is real, but not right. It exists, yes, but it's not enough to overcome old wounds, clashing values, or poor timing. I used to think love was the destination. Now I see love is only the beginning. What wins? What lasts? What heals? It is not love alone. It's love plus respect, love plus truth, love plus shared values, healthy communication, and a willingness to do the hard, boring, unglamorous work together. You can be deeply in love with someone and still be completely wrong for each other. You can share a bed, a house, even a last name, and still feel completely alone. I've learned that love is not magic. It's beautiful, yes, but it won't save a relationship poisoned by pride, or eroded by neglect, or slowly strangled by control. It won't compensate for dishonesty. It won't erase years of emotional distance. It won't survive if only one person is doing the work. And when I finally stopped asking love to carry more than it was meant to, I stopped blaming myself for what I couldn't salvage. I used to ask, what more could I have done? Why wasn't love enough? Now I ask better questions. Was there mutual respect? Were we growing in the same direction? Did love feel safe, or did it feel like a sacrifice? Because now, at 60, I no longer believe love wins by default. Love needs support. From honesty, from consistency, from alignment. When those things are missing, even the strongest love will wither. And when those things are present, even simple love can thrive. So no, love doesn't always win. But alignment does. Respect does. Shared peace, shared purpose, those win. And I'd rather build a quiet, real life with someone I align with than stay in a battlefield with someone I love but cannot live beside. That's the truth no one told me when I was 20. But it's the truth I live by now, and it's brought me more peace than any fairy tale ever could. 2. I no longer believe that people change just because you love them. There was a time I believed love could fix anything, including people. I believed if you just love her right, if you hold space long enough, forgive deeply enough, stay patient through every storm, she would soften, she would see, she would change. I believed my love had the power to heal her wounds, to silence her fears, to convince her that this, what we had, it was worth protecting. So I stayed. I stayed long past the moment she stopped listening. I stayed while she rolled her eyes at my effort. I stayed through mood swings, silence, coldness, because I thought my love would be enough to turn the tide. But here's what life taught me. Slowly, painfully, but clearly, people don't change because you love them. They change because they want to. Love doesn't make someone ready. Love doesn't erase childhood trauma. Love doesn't fill in emotional gaps. They don't even admit their existence. You can be everything. Present, loyal, gentle, consistent, and still they'll choose chaos. Still, they'll shut you out. Still, they'll self-sabotage. And you'll sit there, watching the person you love unravel, blaming yourself, asking, did I not love her enough? Should I have stayed longer? Maybe if I said it differently. But let me save you years of pain. It's not about you. You can love someone with everything you've got, and they can still walk away unchanged. Not because they're evil, not because you failed, but because they're not ready. And no amount of love can make someone ready. Change is an inside job. It comes from choice, not pressure. From awareness, not rescue. I learned this the hard way, watching strong women stay wounded, watching soft women turn hard, watching hopeful women give up, because healing scared them more than the pain they'd grown used to. I used to confuse love with salvation. Now I know. Real love isn't about saving anyone. It's about seeing them and accepting the truth of who they are, not the fantasy of who you wish they'd become. If they change, beautiful. But if not, your love was still noble, still real, still yours to be proud of. But don't turn love into a leash. Don't become a hostage to your hope. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is to walk away. Let them face themselves. Let them choose their mirror. Because dragging someone toward the light doesn't make them see it. It just exhausts you. These days, I no longer try to fix people. I love them from a distance if I must. But I refuse to pour into a heart that's closed by choice. Love is powerful, but it's not permission to lose yourself. And the truth is, when someone's ready to grow, they don't need to be chased. They meet you where you are. They change with you, not for you. That's the kind of love I want now. Not the kind I have to earn by bleeding, but the kind that flows because both of us are choosing to rise, side by side. 3. I no longer believe that success will fill the void inside you. When I was younger, I believed in the chase. The next title, the next milestone, the next win that would finally make me feel enough. I thought success would silence the doubt, fix the emptiness, make me whole. So I climbed, hard, relentlessly. I worked late. I said yes to everything that promised progress. I put my head down, thinking that when I reached the top, there'd be peace waiting for me. But when I finally got there, I looked around and realized it's quiet at the top, and not the peaceful kind of quiet, the hollow kind. You see, success gives you recognition, but not necessarily connection. It rewards performance, but doesn't always heal pain. I had the house, the car, the admiration, but at night, I sat in silence that no amount of applause could fill. I used to believe the void inside me could be conquered, if I just built enough outside of me. But the truth? Success is loud on the outside and painfully quiet on the inside. The void doesn't shrink when the bank account grows. It just wears better clothes. It hides behind designer labels and LinkedIn praise. But in your private moments, when the meetings end, when the phone stops ringing, when no one's watching, you'll feel it. That ache, that small voice inside asking, is this it? What I've learned is this. Success can highlight your value, but it can't create it. And it can't fix a broken sense of self-worth. I know men who are wildly successful, but can't sit alone in a room for 5 minutes. I know men with power, who feel powerless in their own relationships. Men who've built empires, but have no one to come home to. And I've been one of them. I'm not saying ambition is wrong. I still work hard, still build, still dream. But now I know, the work outside of me must never come at the cost of what's inside me. Peace, purpose, presence. Because of the real void, it doesn't need success. It needs meaning. It needs stillness. It needs truth. These days, I define success differently. Not in how much I make, but how much I sleep at night. Not in how many people know my name, but how do I have to pretend for. Not in how far I've climbed, but in how deeply I've rooted. Success without self-awareness is just a shinier prison. And now, at 60, I've learned it's not about how high you go, but how whole do you feel when you get there. Because if you build a life that looks good to the world, but feels empty to you, that's not success. That's self-abandonment. And I refuse to chase that ever again. 4. I no longer believe that, if you're good, good things will automatically happen I grew up believing in fairness, that if you were a good man, honest, hardworking, loyal, life would reward you. That being kind was like planting seeds in the soil of the universe, and sooner or later, something good would grow. So I tried to be good. The kind of man who shows up on time, pays his due, keeps his word even when no one's watching. I treated people well. I stayed faithful. I gave more than I took, and for a while, I thought it was working. But then, life happened. I watched the dishonest get promoted. I saw cheaters win, and liars walk away clean. I stayed loyal in a relationship that broke me. I did everything right, and still lost. That's when the cracks began to show. I kept asking, if I'm doing good, why does it hurt this much? Why do I feel unseen, unheard, unrewarded? I thought goodness was a guarantee, but it isn't. It's not a magic key to success. It doesn't shield you from betrayal. It doesn't exempt you from suffering. I've seen gentlemen die too young. I've seen generous men taken advantage of. I've seen men who carry the weight of the world, only to be left behind when they can't carry it anymore. And yet, I still believe in being good, just not for the reasons I once did. You see, I used to treat goodness like a transaction. If I do X, then life will give me Y. But life doesn't work like that. It's not a vending machine. It's not obligated to reward your virtue. Now, I see goodness differently. It's not a strategy. It's not a deal you strike with fate. It's a way of being, a reflection of character, not a means to control outcomes. I am good now, not because I expect reward, but because I can't live with myself if I'm not. Kindness is how I protect my spirit, not how I buy favor. Integrity is how I sleep at night, not how I win at life. Because sometimes, bad things happen to good people, and good things happen to those who don't deserve them. It's not fair. It's not just. It just is. But that doesn't mean you stop being good. It means you stop expecting goodness to come back dressed the same way you gave it. Sometimes, what you give won't come back through the same door, but it will come back. In peace, in clarity, in the quiet knowing that you lived with honor. That matters. I no longer believe that being good guarantees a good life, but I do believe it guarantees a clear conscience. And in the end, that may be the only kind of wealth that can't be stolen. So be good. Not for them. Not for karma. Not for reward. Be good because it's who you are. When no one's looking. When no one's clapping. When no one says thank you. Because being good is not a promise that life will go easy on you. It's just the quiet decision to not become like those who hurt you. And to me, that's still worth everything. 5. I no longer believe that life gets easier with age. When I was young, I thought growing older would mean growing freer. No more chasing, no more proving, no more noise. I pictured long walks in the morning, coffee that stayed hot because I finally had time to enjoy it, a slower rhythm where everything just made sense. I believed the storms would pass, and what came after was peace, automatic, deserved, effortless. But here's what I know now. Life doesn't get easier with age. It gets sharper, more honest, and sometimes heavier. You stop running, not because you've arrived, but because you've run long enough to realize some races weren't worth it. Your back aches where it never used to. Your patience grows, but so does your grief. People you thought would be around forever aren't. Dreams you carried for decades, you finally lay to rest. At 60, the losses start piling up. Not just people, but versions of yourself you'll never be again. The man who once chased status, he's tired now. The man who once smiled to keep the peace is quiet now. The man who once begged to be chosen, he chooses himself now. So no, life doesn't get easier, but you get clearer. You begin to understand the cost of everything, especially time. You start saying no without guilt. You stop chasing love that feels like labor. You let go of the noise, the need to fix, the pressure to prove. You learn that peace isn't something you find lying around. It's something you fight for, something you protect, something you stop apologizing for needing. And while life doesn't get easier, it does get more focused, more honest, more aligned. You start measuring your life, not in wins or milestones, but in moments of truth, the morning light on your kitchen floor, the friend who still calls, even when you have nothing to give, The silence that doesn't feel like loneliness anymore, but like coming home to yourself. And you begin to realize it was never about ease. It was always about awareness. That aging isn't about slowing down. It's about stripping away. You strip away expectations, illusion, roles that no longer fit. You trade hustle for harmony, status for solitude, noise for knowing. And in that stripping away, you uncover a man who's no longer trying to be impressive, just real. He doesn't have all the answers, but he has better questions. He doesn't pretend the pain is gone, but he knows what to do with it now. So no, life at 60 isn't easier, but it is truer. And there's a strange kind of beauty in that, because in the end, what makes life meaningful isn't how easy it becomes, but how deeply you begin to live it. Once you stop pretending it ever had to be easy, I don't believe in fairy tales anymore. And strangely, that's brought more peace than any illusion ever did. I no longer believe that love alone saves, that people change because I want them to, that success equals wholeness, that goodness equals protection, that age brings ease. But I do believe in something else. I believe in discernment, in slow mornings, in earned peace, in showing up as you are and only staying where you are seen. I believe in shedding illusions to make space for truth, even when it hurts. So if you're younger than me or even just beginning to feel these quiet doubts, let them come. The sooner you release what was never yours to carry, the sooner your hands are free to build what actually matters. Don't be afraid to stop believing in things that no longer serve you. Sometimes, the real beginning is in the unlearning.